Hello and welcome back to the Countdown to the Force Awakens. Countdown to the Force Awakens is where I take a look back at a episode in the Star Wars saga as we lead up to the release of Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, on December 17th, which is just a few weeks away. So, here we are, Episode 5, where I will look at Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. Now, please be aware that hopefully you have seen The Empire Strikes Back because I will be delving in spoilers. So if you have not seen Empire Strikes Back, stop now, go and see it, and then come back and have a look. So, The Empire Strikes Back, 1980. I honestly, now let me preface this, I was only 9 years old at the time. I was not a huge fan of The Empire Strikes Back then. Remember, I was only 9 years old. I was not a big fan of. I was a little kid, and I was all about action and science fiction and things blowing up. And it's like, for me, the action has to be like Star Wars and like Battle Beyond the Stars or Battlestar Galactica or something like that. And for me, it felt like The Empire Strikes Back did not deliver that, because after the Hoth scene, the battle on Hoth, which is amazing sequence, for me it kind of like got too slow. I wasn't too big on Yoda because he came off as like a little bit of a jerk. And obviously the big spoiler is that this isn't a spoiler, but I was a huge Han Solo fan. Han Solo was my guy. And when I was a kid, and my friends and we would all get together and play Star Wars, I was always Han Solo. Not just because I got to fly the Millennium Falcon and had a co-pilot, Wookiee, Chewbacca. That was the main thing. It's like, because Han Solo was so cool. He was the renegade. He was the rebel. And 3/4 of the way into the movie, Darth Vader freezes him in carbonite. And I'm like, oh, that masked jerk. That I'm sure I must have tuned out at that point, and then the big reveal, the big shocker moment where Darth Vader reveals to Luke Skywalker and says, "No, I am your father." For the longest time, I was like, why is he lying? That's impossible. That can't be true. Why is he lying to Luke? He's not his father. And that stayed in my head for years until Return of the Jedi. I just didn't believe it. It's like I just dismissed it. It's like he's lying. It's like whatever. He's just doing whatever he can to get to Luke and mess with his head. And I didn't believe it until it was verified in Return of the Jedi. So this little 9-year-old who loves Star Wars, the original, and Empire Strikes Back was it's alright. It was like, it was good. And then Return of the Jedi came around and everything was copacetic, and I ended up loving it, and Return of the Jedi was the best. And then it wasn't until years later, many years later I should say, after Return of the Jedi, that when I started to hone and build my appreciation and understanding of film and the ability to tell a story, and then I can't remember how old I was or when. This clearly was before the special editions of '97. That I look back at The Empire Strikes Back and really got it. Really understood what they were going for, and really understood the dynamics and the mechanics of telling a story. And at that point, I pretty much declared The Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars film overall, and to this day, it still is the best Star Wars film of them all. And it all boils down to, it has one hell of a story. Again, it's just amazing to look back at something with new eyes and older eyes and more mature eyes. And I really got into the story, and was able to, I had the patience to follow the slow parts that I deemed as a child, the slow parts, and actually was able to get drawn into the drama itself. And and basically just like at the cliffhanger, and then it's like and because at that point I knew what happens in Return of the Jedi, I know what happens with the fate of all the characters, and then it's like I had a even more appreciation for Empire. I mean, for a long time I remember considering Return of the Jedi my favorite of the three because it's the last one. But I'll get into Return of the Jedi one next week with Episode 6. But looking back, I pretty much decided, yeah, Empire is by far the better film and best told. Directed by Irvin Kershner, written by, was it Brackett and Kasdan, I believe? Yeah, I think the two of them tag teamed on this one. And story by Lucas. And it's such a great story that develops the mythology that the entire franchise is built upon. It's all about the Force, the dynamic of father and son, and the fact that the rebels, the good guys, they lose, and they lose big time. That's not something you want to come to a movie like Star Wars to be in a downer, and it's like that just everything is just laid down upon him. Han is frozen in carbonite and is taken away by Boba Fett. Luke discovers that Darth Vader is his father and lost his hand. The rebels lost and are scattered, and now just trying to get back together. Lando Calrissian has lost his city. It's a real bummer of a movie, but it's so freaking good. It's definitely one of the few sequels in all filmdom of all the movies ever made over the last 100+ years. One of the very few sequels that is actually better than the original in many regards. And it's a great film. Probably the best thing to come out of that is the introduction of Yoda himself. Now, who would have thought that this little 3-foot-tall puppet would take on a life of his own and basically be the face of the Force, and everything we as fans understand as the Force came through Yoda and his explanations and his broken English explanations of the Force. It's like, and it was just so powerful that it started a movement where, like, I think the Force became its own religion. Maybe even the dark side might have become its own religion too. But it was just so pure, so magical, so mythical that needless to say, when Episode 1 came around and then George decided to call this Force midichlorians is what provides the Force, and basically totally demystified the whole magical aspect of it. And that kind of was a downer for that film. But back to The Empire Strikes Back. It was Frank Oz's performance as Yoda was just like transcending, because you really believe that this little guy was alive, even though he knew he was a puppet. But you just totally buy into it, and it was just another great example of never judge a book by its cover, never underestimate. I'm sorry, I was about to misquote, but let me use the actual quote. Judge me by my size, do you? So it was just so great that this little 3-foot-tall guy just packs a huge punch. I mean, the scene where he pulls Luke's X-Wing out of the swamp, it was just like a fantastic scene. That was just backed up by John Williams' fantastic score. His score for this film was phenomenal. It features so many great themes. The Imperial March, Yoda's theme, the asteroid belt chase scene, the asteroid scene, the field. That was the great cues. It was like, that was one of my favorite moments when the Falcon is just bobbing and weaving through the asteroids, and you hear John Williams' score powering him through as TIE fighters are exploding on asteroids here and there. And it's just a fantastic score and a fantastic film. Of course, in 1997, we got the special edition, and unlike the other two films, the special edition wasn't tinkered with as much. He might have cleaned up a little bit on Hoth, maybe added a few Imperial Walkers. Of note, he definitely added some scope and size to Bespin and Cloud City. And he opened up the walls that were basically just white walls and put windows in there so we can see the rest of Cloud City. And I guess the only misstep in Empire for his additions was there was a scene at the end where in the original theatrical cut, Vader ends up being on the Star Destroyer, and I guess he felt the need when Vader says, "Bring me my shuttle." He felt the need to actually show Vader get on his shuttle and go, but that was totally unnecessary. I don't know why he felt that beat was necessary, because I think the audience was able to totally understood that, okay, he got in the shuttle, he went to the Star Destroyer, and there he is. So, but other than that, I really can't think of any other significant changes that were made to The Empire Strikes Back, except maybe adding Ian McDiarmid as the Emperor when Darth Vader comes in to find out about Luke Skywalker, and that whole bit. But yeah, Empire Strikes Back, when I was a kid, I probably only gave it like a 6 out of 10, but I was just 9 years old and had no concept and patience for story. I mean, come on, I just want action, 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 action. I'd get that a year later with Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I was never the same again. But nowadays, obviously, I would give The Empire Strikes Back a 10 out of 10. Star Wars, A New Hope, and Empire Strikes Back for me are the only 10 out of 10s out of the entire saga so far. Crossing our fingers for what J.J. Abrams has in store for us. But Empire Strikes Back is a fantastic film. It's clearly a change in direction that was much appreciated and very powerful. And it was like a great dark chapter in the entire series and sets up perfectly for Return of the Jedi. And like I said, there were so many great moments, so many amazing moments, and I'm kind of envious of some people who get to see Empire Strikes Back the first time, and I see their reactions to, say, Han Solo being frozen, or Darth Vader revealing that he's he's Luke's father. But yeah, Empire Strikes Back is a science fiction classic, and will always be the pinnacle and the best Star Wars film of all time. Unless somebody pulls out the trump card and gives us the best ever somewhere in 7, 8, and 9, or somewhere down the road. But Empire Strikes Back, classic film. So, what do you think? Where does Empire Strikes Back stand for you? Is it the best, second best, worst? What were your favorite parts? What were your least favorite parts? Did you feel the same way as I did when you saw it as a kid? Or did you see it when you were a kid, or were you much older than that? Do you hold it as, do you think it's the best one, like me? I think I said that already, but I'll say it again. Do you think it's the best one, like me? So, if you like this review, please hit that like button below. And please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and if you have, thank you very much. That way you can stay on top of my reviews as they come in, and also so you can stay on top of future episodes of Countdown to the Force Awakens, which will continue next week with Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. And then will be followed by a preview of The Force Awakens, which will then be followed by the moment we've all been waiting for, Episode 7, The Force Awakens. So, until next time, may the Force be with you.